little bit about you.
Sure.
Back to like before you started with Andy, before you got into sales, who were you? Like what led you on the path to, like, because most people when they start looking for mentors, it comes from a place of like not of a lack, or not having a strong father figure, or not having a strong male figure in their life. So they're looking for that. Yeah. So who are you, and what led you to kind of
you know, if you go back that deep, and we go that deep, I grew up, you know, I had a great mom. Like I had a great childhood. There was a lot of things that I didn't have, but I just didn't know. Like I didn't have the dad that showed up to my, you know, basketball games and football games. I didn't have that, but I had a great grandfather that did a lot of stuff for us. Like he was the best grandpa in the world, but my dad was an alcoholic, you know, scumbag. He wasn't around when we were like 2-3 years old. I think he went to go get the milk one time, and we never seen him show back up, you know, and I'm like, damn dude, like, you know, but like
he might show back up,
you know, I'm like, dude,
successful.
Yeah,
like, I
right.
got the milk. You
know, and so he just, you know, my dad's came in and out of my life, and, you know, he's a very charismatic individual. Everybody struggles with their own demons. So as I've grown older, I've just tried to, like, you know, give him some grace and some try to, you know, I don't know what people go through. Right. Yeah. So, but grew up without a dad. So, you know, my brother and I, we just got in a lot of trouble when we were kids, man. We didn't have that accountability of a dad saying, hey, don't do this, do this. We had a grandfather, but not a lot of people listen to their grandparents and their mom. Like you need a tough man in the house. You need somebody who can say, hey, here's what you need to do. And if you don't do it, you know, there's consequences. There wasn't a lot of consequences in our household. So Ian and I got in a lot of trouble with the law. We got in a lot of trouble running around the neighborhood. We ran with the wrong people. We did a lot of crazy stuff. We got in a lot of situations that we should have died in. We should have made it out of. And we quickly learned that we didn't want to grow up and be just another statistic. And we were seeing guys around us that were dying and going to jail. And, you know, as we made it through high school, we found a mentor, and we just stumbled into a guy. I didn't even know I needed a mentor. I didn't know the people who are lost, they usually don't know they're lost. Yeah. You know, you don't know. A lot of the times you don't know. Like I didn't know. And so when I found somebody who had a special light and a special energy about them, big money energy is what I like to call it, it inspired me to use my passion for getting in trouble and my bad habits for sales. And they aimed it into business. And when that happened, and I started to do different things and put my crazy sporadic energy into something positive, like life changed. Because I was terrible at high school. I was terrible at school. I thought I was stupid. Yeah. You know, I wasn't a guy who was, you know, killing it with good grades. I was always, you know, on the academic unable to perform list for guys that were on the basketball team. My coaches were always getting on to me. I was a competitive guy. We were always competitive. You know, I've got a twin brother. You know, I'm trying to kick his butt at every turn. Not trying. Let me rephrase that. I am kicking his ass at every freaking turn I possibly can. Yeah. But you just grow up and you're a little lost, and you think that you're not like everybody else who's killing it in school, and you're in the principal's office and you don't know why you're acting out. And one of the reasons why we're probably acting out is just because we didn't have a good dad around us. That's why I refuse to be like the dad that I had. Yeah. So I've got 2 kids, and I try to do everything in my power to be the guy that I didn't have. Yeah. And I think that's what good leaders do. But then that just transferred into sales. We got our first sales job, and the rest was freaking history. And I can go into that with you, but it's amazing. Sales changed our life.
How did it go? Like, were you and your brother, did you guys ever like have big fights and like falling out? Or you guys have always been kind of
we fight all the time.
But fighting there's a way to fight in a constructive way and a way to fight in like a shitty way where you're like, fuck you, I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. We would just beat the shit out of each other and like physically fight when we were kids, like fight hard, like even when we were adults, we got in some blowouts. Like I remember this one time on the car lot, you know, my brother took one of my customers, and we got into it, dude. And we got into it heavy, and everybody used to think we split deals because we were the number 1 and 2 Nissan sales guys in the state, just murdering everybody. Mm-hmm. And they thought we were like, in the car business, they call it being married on deals. You just split every deal. Like there's guys that just split every deal. They team sell. We didn't team sell, and we always ended up within 1 or 2 cars of each other. But I remember like he stole one of my customers. We got into it, and I punched him in the face on the side of the showroom floor, and I chipped his tooth, and he like fell back and hit his head, and I felt so bad. But then I was like, okay, we're about to do this thing, because we just grew up fighting, dude. Like it's just how we were. And then I just not gonna lie, dude, I just hooked it back to my car as fast as possible. He jumped in his car. It was like a high speed chase. Yeah. Dude, I skid. There was a big snowstorm out. I skid into a freaking stop sign, hit the stop sign. My brother's at my door pounding, trying to kick my dude. It was crazy. Really? But that's how we were. But a lot of the times it wasn't just, a lot of times we grew past like getting physical with each other. That was kind of young, hot-headed stuff. And what we do now is we just try to have healthy conflict, and we try to explain it like you don't get, especially it's like the same thing with your wife or your husband out there or whatever you got.
Beat her.
You don't beat her, number one. If you do, we're gonna kick your ass. But you try to fight healthy. You try to not bring up stuff from the past, and you try to get through stuff quickly, and you fight fair, and you fight fast, and you fight quick, and you get it out. And there's no gray areas. You shouldn't be on eggshells with the people around you.
Yeah. That is a thing I want to talk about, is like how do you deal with conflict in a progressive, or not a progressive, what's the word I'm thinking? Productive way.
Yeah.
Because that it can be used for either productively or it can be used negatively.
Yeah.
So how do you use that in a
I think enough people don't get pissed off enough about stuff, and they're not willing to fight for what they believe in, or an argument or something that they know is right in their heart. And I think that's the world that we live in. We live in a world full of soft people who aren't willing to freaking get up and throw blows over something. Yeah. They won't do it. And I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying internally, if you know something's right, do you step up and say something if you know that's something that shouldn't be happening? Like if somebody's disrespecting somebody at a gas station, are you like, hey bro, like you need to chill out, like that's not a good way to treat him or her? Like are you one of those people, or are you one of those people like, wow, that sucks for them? That's just not how I was raised. So I just try to now become a good communicator. Everything is sales, so you can frame things with the right people, and you can set people up to where they don't want to like physically get in fights with it. But that comes back to sales. Are you a good communicator? Can you articulate it? Do you have good conviction? Do you have good passion where you can put somebody down with your words? That's what I'm good at now, is figuring out how to handle the conflict correctly with my words, and then get to a damn solution. So many people spend so much time on the problem, and they're not even talking about the solution. Yeah. I come into the problem, find it, and then we're moving to the solution, and we're over it, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a saying that conflict leads to resolution, so I love conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Because that means we're about to resolve some
problem. You should.
And that's where, I've noticed even in our own business, where we have problems is where we have conflict, but we don't bring it up. We have conflict, and then when we bring it up, it's like a big blowout.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're like, hey, everyone chill, come back down to where we're at, and then we have to address it from there. But if we would have addressed it like when it's just a little issue, the little issues in it. It's
if you kind of go with your gut feeling in the beginning, every time you avoid that feeling, then it ends up being a way bigger problem later.
Oh, yeah.
Like I should have.
See, and you got to know yourself. Like, that's it right there. You nailed it. What's the gut feeling you have about the situation? And do you have the balls enough to speak up about it and go bring it to somebody? Or do you go hide it under the rug and wait till it piles up, and then you have some big blowout? Yeah. Andy calls it like death by 1,000 paper cuts. You can do this this can happen in your relationship. Yeah. If you have a bunch of little things happen and you don't figure out ways to fight quickly and fair and figure out ways to communicate through it, all that happens is at the end of the day, at the end of the year, all of that's going to pile up, and then all of a sudden you're getting a divorce, or your team doesn't like you, or whatever the hell's happening, or your manager doesn't like you or something. And it's not that they didn't like one situation you did. You let all this shit pile up.
Yeah.
Step up. Step up 100%. And talk. Step up and fight quickly,
and cleanly,
Yeah.
You got to, like you said, you do, most people are not, they're afraid to fight. And they're afraid of that conflict, especially like a lot of men with their girls. They're afraid of like having the conversation. We just like, oh, we're afraid of conflict. We don't want to piss her off. You know? So we act like little bitches. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up falling out of love with us because we're these little bitch, and the guy that she knows or she met was this like alpha man.
Yeah.
And now you're just a little, little bitch. But